Hello Kickstarter world, my name is Scott Burry, and this is my research assistant, Ragnar the Destroyer. Say hi, Ragnar. We're looking for your support for a new podcast called Beyond Barbarossa, the history of the Eastern Front of the Second World War. Now I know you've got a lot of questions. Why a podcast? Why the Eastern Front? Why a cat as a research assistant? Good questions. So we'll start with the most important. Ragnar here is very particular about getting everything just right, aren't you, Ragnar? He's kind of shy. But I did ask him off camera, what's the best way to stop a tank? He told me, clog everything with cat fur and then take a nap on the driver's lap. Makes sense to me. Why a podcast on the Eastern Front? There are a lot of podcasts about history, a lot of podcasts about the Second World War. There are podcasts about D-Day, about the Battle of Britain. But I haven't yet found one about the Eastern Front. The thing is, the Eastern Front was the biggest part of the war. The Second World War was the largest, most costly, and bloodiest conflict in human history. And the largest part of it was fought in what the Germans called the Eastern Front, the countries now called of Russia, Ukraine, Poland, the Baltic states, and so on. There were 5 times at least as many people involved on that side of the war as on the West, titanic as that was. Now the Second World War is important to understand because it shaped the world we know today. It created a world order that has largely persisted to the present day, more than 80 years later. And that means to really appreciate our world today, kind of need to really understand the history of that large part of it. So, Kickstarter tells us that we should explain what we're looking for and why, and who we are. Okay, so as I said, my name's Scott Burry. I'm an author, editor, researcher, journalist, and erstwhile teacher. I've written books about the history of the Second World War. 3 books about the true story of a Canadian drafted into the Red Army in 1941, just in time for the German invasion. What was a Canadian doing in the Red Army in 1941? You'll have to read the books to find out. So, what am I looking for? I'm looking for $2,000 US to help get this project rolling. I'll be using that money for things like quality podcasting equipment, professional grade microphones and headphones, and some sort of sound baffling so it doesn't sound as echoey as it does right now. I'm going to need some money for hosting the podcast on a podcast platform, a dedicated system that podcasters need. I'll be using it for a special website for the podcast where I'll be able to post maps, images, pictures, and links and other information to help the listeners really understand the story I'm telling. Of course, I'll need graphic design services because I'm not a graphic designer, and these will be used to present that information as clearly and as effectively as possible. And yes, we'll need to do some promotion and advertising to help spread the word about the podcast and draw the largest audience possible. So I'm hoping for support through the Kickstarter network. Now, as a supporter, what do you get? Well, you get the podcast. But yes, I understand financial contributors deserve more. So here's what I'm offering. For $10 US and up, I'm offering a full year subscription to the podcast, which gets you each episode in advance of the general release. Also, bonus episodes and a special shout out as a thank you in the first episode. For $25 US and up, the full subscription as described, plus those books I mentioned about the story of a Canadian drafted into the Red Army. Those are Army of Worn Souls, Under the Nazi Heel, and Walking Out of War, in the ebook format of your choice. For $50 US and up, the full subscription as described, plus a signed, personalized paperback copy of the full Eastern Front trilogy. For $75 US and up, the full subscription as described, bonus episodes, 3 ebook box set, and a special commemorative mug. Not this one. It'll be one with the Eastern Front podcast on it and some really nice graphics that a talented designer is working on right now. And if your generosity extends to the $150 US level or more, everything, the whole shebang, the subscription, the bonus episodes, the shout out, the mug, the book, and a special commemorative t-shirt. Now, if I get more than the $2,000, and I'm confident we can reach that level, but if we get more, that would be great. The money in excess of that $2,000 will go for better equipment, better sound, some more research, and more rewards for supporters. And most important, better cat treats for Ragnar to help him do his research. So, hoping to hear from you. Thank you for your time.